yeah, we got up and was like, this is crazy. You know, government lasts exactly 17 days.
It's crazy, but is it new, Val?
What is new was a short amount of time. Usually it took a year and a half. Now it only took 17 days, you know. So that was something that was also mind blowing.
We had a conversation shortly after elections, and I said it on the radio as well. And people asked me, what's your true opinion of, the result of the election? And I said, I think what happened today, or then, was not in the best interest of the country, but more to prove a point. And sometimes in proving a point, you shoot yourself in the foot. So basically, if you put something together that, for lack of a better word, doesn't make much sense, eventually it's going to erupt. And we could sit down and say, oh, how that happened, but to me, the majority of the public, even those that voted for one of those parties, were like, that's not going to last. A lot of us were already saying
Yeah, we were already saying that.
And then when it does happen, it's
So
like,
there was no breathing room.
it was no breathing room, but when it does happen, we're all shocked. But we all knew it was going to happen. It so happened so fast.
Predicted, yeah, exactly.
But everybody knew it was going to happen at some point. Even those in it knew it was going to happen at some point. And then what was very alarming to me was, okay, I didn't understand the jumping backwards, forwards. I didn't understand it myself. But how this guy was vilified when he did the initial jump by the very same people that once upon a time jumped themselves. I'm like, but something doesn't
being
up
hypocrites.
there. I didn't say it, you said it.
That was so hypocrite. Yeah,
but this very same people who
did.
once upon a time did it
Yeah.
were the ones with the biggest mouths when he did it.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, so if he had a different last name, would have made a difference, you know? And then he jumped back, and at that point, it's like, okay, dude,
yeah, you're dead, dead in the water. Stick to your guns, you know what I mean?
You know, like for example, yesterday I posted I made a post, and it was a positive post towards the sitting administration because of something they did. And if anybody has been following my page, I've been very critical of things that they've been doing the last couple of weeks and months. So now they did something that I find, hey, you know, if you could give them flack, you should be able to give Jack the jacket.
Give credit where credit is due.
Give credit where credit is due.
Give Jack his jacket. And I love that about you, that you did that.
Yes, and I got a lot of blowback for it, But in my head, it's like, okay, we always sit down here saying, hey, when they going to stop playing the political games and etc., etc. And one thing I did last year in my beginning of my campaign, I didn't come out saying what I want to do for the people. I came out explaining to people who Daryl is as a person. And if anyone who listened would know that, okay, even not elected, but my party is in opposition, I'm not going to play opposition for playing opposition's sake. If you do something good, I'm going to say you did it good. If you did something wrong, I'm going to tell you did it wrong. Just know anything that comes out of my mouth is genuine in what I really think. So, you know, a lot of people thought it would, after the blowback, I would have deleted the post or, hid the post. But I don't care. It's what I really think. And if you could bring the bad, you should be able to bring the good as well. And it's something that I feel, you know, especially with the events of what just happened, politics comes with a negative side as well. And if we're saying no against political violence, we should say yes with political maturity. You know, so you can't look at them, you shouldn't look at them as two separate things. If you're going to point at one, you should point at the next. Be like, okay, that's political violence, we should not do it. Point at the political maturity and say this is what we should be doing. And the game should not be played on both ends, because if you're on the other end receiving the credit, you shouldn't be like, you know, or the other end, be like, why he did it, you know, like. It takes two to tango, and I think it's time that more of us start thinking of what, you know what I'm saying, like, hey, let's be more control in what we do politically, and I think then you'll really see a change in the product that's being exuded out of Parliament or on the executive branch. And in short, that's basically what Daryl wants to bring to the arena.
What I love is that you, like I just said, that you give credit where credit is due. One of the ministers out there is touting that so many LBAs was signed, and and it's like, dude, you didn't do those LBAs. It was a former minister of justice.
Yeah.
You know, They won't give credit where credit is due.
You know, and when a government comes out, and a lot of things people don't understand when it comes to projects, especially major projects, you don't come in and think about it in a week and execute it in a week.
Thank you.
This is something that takes months, sometimes
years.
years.
Exactly.
Right? So when you see a new government goes in, and in the first 2-3 months they're coming up with outgrowing all these projects, 99.9999999% they didn't start it.
Thank you.
They didn't put the work in. Maybe they put the final signature, but it's not them.
Yeah.
And to me, the most grandiose thing to do, also for them, and it could be any, I'm speaking also if the new administration was to go in, if there's a new administration, bring the person that started it
Thank you.
next to you, take the picture together, and to me that says more about you than the person you're taking the picture with.
Thank you.
So, like I said, everyone says, oh, I don't play the political games, but you're playing the political game, you know, and when in this case, the MPs on the other end now question you on it in Parliament, and you're running around the answer, just say, hey, it's something you started, it's something I'm continuing.
Right.
You know, you have any ideas on what we're doing? Work together as a team, and I think that way we will get much further as a country.
Help us to understand what is being done, seeing the fact that we are about to approach the peak hurricane season, to safeguard the people of St. Martin in the event of a hurricane, in terms of cleanup and what have you.
Indeed, thank you, Stephen, for the question. I'd like to also indicate that, as I mentioned a few times, the cleanups have been happening. That's part of the district cleanups. That is part of the contracts already issued and ongoing. What we've realized within Vromi is that because of the amount of precipitation, rain that we've been having over a couple of months, what may seem like areas being unclean and untended to is actually the fact that many places just have continued to have overgrowth with the amount of water we are having. There's also been a number of emergency trench works that have been happening, noting again that the trenching contract still hasn't been awarded. That's something we are working on finalizing by next week. Because the urgency of having regular maintenance of the trenches, particularly given the very active hurricane season. But I do want to reiterate that cleanups have been happening. They've been happening quite actively since the beginning of this year, but noting the amount of precipitation, whether some areas may seem as if they're not tended to, but they are. With regards to an island-wide cleanup, I've been in discussions as well with the collectivité to see how we can jump on board with their island-wide cleanup. They're, of course, open to it and working on a plan to which I promised the Council of Ministers a very clear outline of how we're going to address cleanup, and in particular, the number of wrecks, which are a growing concern for St. Martin that are around the island. I think what's very important to also mention, and I think it's something that many people fail to realize, the previous administration actually held, the Minister of Vromi actually did 2 or 3 car wreck removals in the last 2 years. And we still have the same problem again. So one of the key things that we're trying to do is ensure there's an educational component towards just cleaning up. It's a responsibility of persons in their own community to also point out that, leaving a car wreck may be a quick solution for yourself, but in the long term, it causes problems for your neighborhood. And in the event of very active hurricane season, that debris is concerning. And of course, the same car wreck left there can cause damage to your home. So I think the big part of what we're doing differently is making sure the active educational component to change behavior is also part of just the regular cleanup as well.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, and also thank you, Stephen. Ms. Jacqueline Hoffman of the Daily Herald, you have the floor.
Thank you. Minister, could you give an update as to the concerns that were raised by the Simpson Bay community concerning the big developments in the area?
Yes. Thank you for the question, Jacqueline. Indeed, it's something that has had my attention from the day I got in. We've actually started consultations with the Simpson Bay community. About 3 weeks ago, I was invited to a town hall to hear the concerns of the Simpson Bay community. We also, in the meantime, also reached out to one of the developers in the area regarding how we can find a resolution to the issue. There are, of course, particularities which we find interesting, is that the current zoning law or sort of policy regarding Simpson Bay area calls for a maximum of 4 stories. One project in particular has been approved for 7 stories. Where that deviation came from, we are not too sure what the justification was. It doesn't seem to be very clear, and these are the things that we have to address. I think for me as a minister, I think the idea has never been about stopping development. It's about sustainable development and making sure that if we have an area that calls for 4 stories maximum, what is the impact in terms of traffic, in terms of infrastructure, particularly for me, drainage, sewage, road integrity towards developing along these developments. One of the things that we are doing as Ministry of Romy, in particular as Minister of Romy, is trying to be sort of the facilitator of these 2 very seemingly different opinions about what Simpson Bay should look like. And I think the point of it, long story short, is where is allowed, we trying to see how we can bring the community and the developer together. That's something we're personally doing. And where it's not allowed, we have to address what went wrong, and also to indicate what process in the permit process are we, and what can be done to either stop the development and have it readjusted to fit what is in the policy, and where it's gone too far beyond the permit process because there's an objection period. If that objection period has passed, then we have to see how we can look at it from a legal point of view. Is a development, for example, that's currently, that was noticed within the objection period, and the Ministry of Romy is now actively arranging a meeting with the developer to sort of see where we can go forward with the realization that what was allowed wasn't allowed, and we have to then come to a solution towards rectification of that problem.
That is in Beacon Hill.
Indeed.
Your social and health insurance is your social and health insurances.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
Your social and health insurances.
Usually election is held on a Friday. This year it falls on a Monday. And of course, many of the polling stations are at our schools. So my question is, has any consideration been taken as to whether there will be school the day following election, which is a Tuesday? And of course, many people would be working late into the night. So would civil servants also, would everyone have to work the following day? And would schools be adequately prepared if indeed there would be schools after? Thank you so much.
Yes, we are busy with evaluating that too with the Ministry of Education. And it's of course the Minister of Justice too that is the one supervising the Ministry of Education, the acting minister. So for me it's very easy, it's combining 2 in 1. And with him we're going to discuss the decision making if something is going to be done on the Tuesday in measures with opening or not of schools. But until now we did not take a decision on the follow-up being the Tuesday, the 20th, the day after elections. We know that election is on a Monday, the 19th, and we will come back on a decision that has been made for the Tuesday, the 20th of August.
The prison, many of them have no place to go. There is no halfway house in St. Martin. There is no taller social. the container cells that were promised by the previous administration to Turning Point to use as housing for those that battled their addiction with success, that have no houses, that end up on the boardwalk or in empty buildings to sleep. There is a reality that part of the society has no means, has police record that lasts for 5 years, so they can't get a job, and there is no taller social. So you can have measures to have more oppression, but at the same time, are there going to be initiatives to counter it on the other side, from a social point
Yes.
of view?
Okay, thank you for that question. I'm doing a lot for this community, but I want you to realize one thing. I'm here only 8 weeks in office, and I'm aggressively and proactively trying to solve the problems of this country. And of course, there are problems on all fields in our community. But we are with 7 ministers in a COM, and it's impossible for us to solve all the insufficiencies and deficits of our society in the 8 weeks that I'm in office. And I'm trying, believe me, I wish a day was more than 24 hours, I would use that too. But if you realize the challenges that I have encountered as Prime Minister with my government in the issues and problems of this community, I'm thinking that we are doing a wonderful job, step by step, day by day, trying to solve the challenges and problems of this community. And I have to start somewhere. Safety is now a problem. I have to tackle the safety issue of this country. And of course, safety has multiple dimensions. I understand that too. But I cannot, in the position that I'm in the short period in government, solve all of them. I will take measures to mitigate it, to try to make it acceptable and livable for everybody in this country. And that is how this government is moving, step by step, day by day, solving the problem. GEBE has been a monster problem in our community. See how tranquilo, step by step, balanced way we are trying to solve the problems of GEBE, etc., etc. So I wish that I could tackle all the problems as the ones that I've been tackling, but at the other side, the people of St. Martin has to realize that we are serious in this government, that we have shown that we can deal with the severest challenges in this country. So it's up to them if they want continuation of our actions or if they want something else for the future of this country.
Jackie, this is your final question.
Okay. What is the status of the $200 million from the World Bank, seeing that this amount of money is close to the amount that is on the national budget per year? We know that the housing project, social housing project in Hope Estate is not going to go through because of the funds not being available anymore.
Yeah.
What happens with the 200?
Very good. I have had a visit, as you know, by the State Secretary, Mr. Sabot, the State Secretary of Kingdom Relations, and I have discussed this for us to be exactly with you. There is still 230 million remaining on the World Bank as the funds that we can still use. And I said it already, our biggest challenge is not that we cannot spend that money. Our biggest challenge is that we cannot spend that money because we do not have the experts, the professional treasury that we need to guide the execution of these projects. And one of my missions to Washington was to actually explain the World Bank that we can continue saying that we're getting to the ultimatum to use this amount, but please, let us reconsider where we are standing here, that St. Martin is in dearly need of this project, and let us realize that it's not the execution of the plans as such, but if we don't have the technical assistance to execute these plans, we will have a big problem with the ultimatum date being 2028. So we are working now on making a list to coordinate it, for example, with the BZK and the Vereniging of Nederlandse Gemeentes. We are busy with that. We requested them to help us. We are making the list of professionals that we need, that we are going to bring them in for them to contribute and work on the execution of the projects in a way that we can really tap in the remaining 230 millions to execute. This housing project is a typical example of not being executed because of lack of professionals, technical professionals necessary to execute a huge project like that. And as you know, VROMI is limited in its professionals to help this community. You cannot expect from VROMI, with the limited amount of civil service that they have, that they can guide the country as such and also guide these huge projects to realize, for example, this housing project. I still believe that there is a possibility, as I've negotiated with the World Bank and with the Netherlands and with the steering committee, that we should get more time after 2028 to continue with the projects that already has been allocated the amounts of funding to be realized. And I have the understanding of the World Bank and also of the Netherlands that they're realizing that as long we don't have those professionals on the island, we will not be able to execute these plans, but we are working on it.
There are some changes that are coming, there are some changes that have already happened. Talk to us about why the changes.
Well, let me begin first, though, by acknowledging indeed of late if we've had some extra long lines and it's quite a bit of client frustration.
Yes.
And we have to apologize for that, for all the inconvenience that customers have been experiencing over the last few weeks. But we hope that is going to be short-lived because we are working on a complete plan to ensure that we completely revamp and improve our entire customer service. Okay. Now, what's the plan, you might ask first? Because, you know, it's important for you to, as I always say, start with the end in mind. What is it really that Windward Islands Bank envisions for banking on St. Martin, and especially banking from Windward Islands Bank? First of all, our new country head, Daisy Carolis, you know, she has given us a mandate that we have to work towards ensuring that a client comes into the bank and is in and out of the bank within 15 minutes. Now, that might sound like a very ambitious undertaking, but it's not impossible, and it's something that we're going to seriously work towards. That's the first thing. The second one is then to have clients become more familiar with the alternative services that we offer, especially our what we now refer to as our non-branch channels, the other areas where you do not have to, Windward Island Bank, you do not have to come in to the lobby to do a transaction. We have non-branch channels where you can do any transaction anywhere else without having to come into the lobby. So that's the second thing.
Okay, let's elaborate more about these non-bank channels.
I'm going to elaborate more on them.
Right.
Yes. But I want to set the stage first.
All right.
What is it that the Windward Islands Bank, what's the goal that we have set? So that's the second thing, the non-branch channels and having clients become more familiar and using those. And then the third thing, of course, is our staff. You know, ensuring that our staff, in terms of providing the customer service, can provide that customer service that is expected from the customers, and at the same time ensuring that we increase their knowledge base so that they can really perform very comfortable. So that's the mandate that has been given to us. And over the past 12 months, I must admit that we have done quite a bit of changes in the bank. Now, I would like to go through the changes just briefly, so that you can get an idea of what these changes that we've been going through over the past 12 months. First of all, you would have recalled that we have eliminated checks, business checks as well as personal checks. We've eliminated those. The reason for that is, of course, everything that we've either eliminated or stopped, we make sure that there is an alternative for it. And the alternative to checks, of course, is our online banking payroll system and direct debits. But with the eliminating of checks, that was the first step in ensuring that we have less customers in the lobby, and at the end of the month, we don't have middle of the month and end of the month, all of these customers coming in, standing in lines to cash their checks. So that's the first thing we did. After that, we also decided to remove the financial aid recipients also from coming into the bank and collecting their monthly payments. We, in collaboration with the government of St. Martin, we had all of the financial aid recipients placed on collecting their financial aid every month via the ATM terminals. So each financial aid recipient received a card and a code, special product card, no charges and everything, so that they can now collect their financial aid every month at any one of our over 20 ATM terminals around the island. So what we've done with that is not just eliminate over 1,000 persons from coming into the lobby on the 20th, 21st, 22nd of every month, but we've also allowed them now, instead of having, we were getting complaints that some of these recipients were coming to the bank at 4:30 in the morning, standing and waiting just to be first up. Now they no longer have to do that.
Okay.
You know, once the
4:30,
financial
wow.
aid is placed on the account, wherever they are, they can go to an ATM and withdraw the funds. So that's another thing that we did to remove some of the traffic out of the lobby and offer an alternative service. We then also have introduced, and that's something that we started advertising last week, you would have seen, our pensioners, which is our favorite group, which we're really trying to work hard on ensuring, you know, that their experience is a good experience. We've introduced a pensioners account. So what we did is all the pensioners that had checking accounts with us, we've converted those to a special product type where now they don't have to pay the transaction fee, over-the-counter fee. If they make ATM withdrawals, they don't have to pay. And if they take the online banking, they also won't have to pay any fees with that. So that is our way of ensuring that the seniors, the pensioners, that those are treated well as well. You would also have seen that we introduced our new MasterCard or Bankomatico Plus, the MasterCard debit. And that has replaced the Maestro card with more enhanced features also. So in addition to just withdrawing at ATM, you can also use the card now to order online as well. That is something that we've also introduced, which gives the customers also more purchasing power and more options and benefits when it comes to purchasing power. So we were happy to do that as well. With our online banking, and in collaboration, of course, with the central bank, we've now introduced instant payments. And instant payments, you would have known, if you want to transfer money from Windward Islands Bank to any of the other local banks, normally it would take 3 to 5 days to do it, for it to clear and so on. But because we had stopped checks and you want to facilitate the process still, instant payments now allow you to make transfers online to other local banks, and the payment goes through to the account at the other local bank instantly.
Instantly.
So
no more waiting 2 or 3 days.
No more waiting 2 or 3
5
days.
working days.
Yes, no more of that. It's instant. As you make the transfer, so if you have to pay someone, their account is at another local bank, you go online, you make the payment, a local bank payment, you call them, your payment has been made, and you can continue doing whatever it is you're doing. So that's instant payments. Another very nice feature that we have, in collaboration with Central Bank, we've gotten on the platform as well.
Your social and health insurance is your social and health insurance.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
Your social and health insurance. Stampeding through the streets, drinking rum in the heat, serious like the